This is my Dell Optiplex 990 console killer budget gaming PC, which cost me personally less than $200. Now for my gaming setup, I have just a generic Red Dragon mouse, nothing special there. And then for a keyboard, I have the Techwear Phantom 10 keyless. And then for a mouse pad, as you can see, I just stacked a few towels on top of each other. For the monitor, I used the Acer 251Q. And here's another view at my PC. So I will tell you more about how you can remove the cage and what you'll have to do to fit an RX 580 in here, but more on that later. This is some of the performance I get from my build. This is Fortnite at high settings. Not high settings, ultra settings. Everything is turned up to the max, and this is full screen. This is using the built-in recorder, so it's not the best built-in recorder for AMD. But as you can see, it's not bad. And I didn't experience any stuttering. I had a few here and there, but that usually gets removed after a few games of playing. And here's Warzone. It plays Warzone great, but it is getting CPU bottleneck. As you can see, the GPU isn't at 100% all the time, and we're not getting amazing FPS. All stuttering here was from the AMD software recording. Another view at my PC. So I have the Corsair CX550 in here. It's a very good power supply. And then I have the XFX RX 580 8GB model. I have a 250GB just standard hard disk drive. Then I have two 120GB SSDs. Now for my build, I did need to modify the SATA cables so that way they could fit in under the graphics card. It goes right over the SATA cables. I had to clip off the extra plastic around the SATA cables so I could bend them. But you can also get 90-degree SATA cables where their connection is at 90 degrees, so it can just fit right through there. But you're gonna need a few that go opposite directions. But that's the main build for here. Now if you want to build this, I would recommend finding a cheap Optiplex with a good processor. And I'll more on that in a minute. So as you can see, good reviews for the seller. This one has 8GB of RAM, a 500GB hard drive. This one does not include the operating system. So that's just one thing you might want to look out for. And then no power cord, not a big deal. So this is the comparison. Mine is the i7, and then the one in here is the i5. I would recommend going to this website and comparing them. If you find a different Optiplex, make sure that the performance is good. Higher is better. Now for the power supply, we have a 500 watt Thermaltake power supply. This one only costs $50. It's not bad, and the reviews are pretty good. Reviews on power supplies are always bad up front. Now if you want to spend a bit more for a better power supply, I recommend the Corsair CV550, 50 extra watts and a better brand. For the graphics card, I recommend the RX 580 or 570 depending on what your budget allows. If you're not going to get a very good CPU or don't plan on upgrading later, I would get the 570. But if you want better upgradability and better performance, I would get the 580 and try to aim for the 8GB model. Now for SSDs, I just recommend a standard 250GB SATA. It must be SATA, you can't get M.2s. And if you want more RAM, then just get some generic DDR3. You cannot get DDR4 with this motherboard. As you can see highlighted in orange, you will need to remove the hard drive / SSD hardware in order to fit an RX 580 or 570. But it is not that difficult, and I will leave a link in the description to a video showing you step by step how to remove it. If you do not have a drill, then you can hack it out with some pliers, but that will require extra effort, and I would not recommend doing that. Alright, well that's going to be a wrap to my video. Hopefully this shows you a great way to get into budget console killing gaming PCs that offer great performance at a great price.